Welcome to Yes Genius, a podcast from Epic Marketing that celebrates the power of affirmative thinking. In each episode, we explore the power of saying yes to unexpected opportunities, career changes, even the unknown, and the powerful results. This season, we welcome our speakers and panelists from Social Media Day Delaware. We hope you enjoy their yes stories and some digital marketing insights.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host for this episode, Jess Burton. Joining me is Gertha, the founder of BLB Global and a panelist for Social Media Day Delaware 2024. BLB Global is a high-level brand storytelling consultancy that specializes in transforming industries often seen as boring, like insurance, compliance, and logistics, into visible and unforgettable brands. Through the power of storytelling, she has helped clients across various sectors achieve business growth and boost online visibility. Welcome, Gertha.
Hi, Jess. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I am so excited to have you here because I feel like we both deal with a lot of quote unquote boring industry. And I feel like I spend a lot of my time telling people that you can make them fun and it is possible to have fun with branding and whatnot.
Yes. It's all how you see it and how you narrate your own story, and I love it.
Absolutely. So we're going to hop right into the questions. So my first initial question for you, the name of this podcast is Yes Genius. So you've talked about helping people overcome the fear of posting online, and you have an irreverent approach that I hope you'll share with us. How do you say yes to making social media less scary and more enjoyable?
Okay, so this is something that we do with our clients, right? And everybody know that sometimes social media is scary. And I always give the approach when I talk to my clients. I say, you know what? Let's give social media the finger, right? And how do you do that? Like, how do you overcome your fear? And I was always raised to face your fear. So how do you give social media the finger? You post it. And that's the most scariest thing for people to do when it comes to social media, to post it. And so what we do, we post it. We post that picture, we post that thought, we post that video, we post that blog, whatever it is, start by just posting it. And then slowly, you're going to realize that there's nothing for you to be afraid of.
I think that is such good advice. I feel like in the day and age of like influencers and curated content, what people are looking for is someone who is authentic.
Yes.
The best way to be authentic is to just share who you are wholeheartedly. Even if it is silly,
Yes.
even if it doesn't feel perfect. I feel like that in itself makes it perfect for social.
It is. That's what social media is, imperfection. I always tell people, like, half the stuff you see on social media are not real. People don't show you behind the scenes. And if you're looking at that person and saying, hey, I want to be like them or I want to do them, then that's not a realistic goal. You know what you can be? You can be yourself. You can post what you want to post. You can post what makes your brand shine. And that's how your true authentic self, and your brand shines through that.
Absolutely. I think especially when you are the face of your business and whether you incorporate your name into your business or if you're an independent business owner, because I feel like the people we buy insurance from, they use their names. Like I couldn't tell you, actually, that's probably bad. I couldn't tell you what insurance companies they work for, but I could tell you what his name is. So you could look him up on Google.
Yes.
So one of the parts that I wanted to really dig into a little bit was you said you were raised to face your fears, which I am like the biggest scaredy cat there is. I jokingly I say I do everything scared because everything is like freaks me out. My mind immediately goes to worst case scenario.
Yes.
So can you tell us more about facing your fears, being raised to face your fears, all of that?
I grew up in the Bahamas, right? To Haitian migrants who did not speak English, right? So I grew up in an environment where it was very uncomfortable for me. And growing up, I realized that I had a lot stacked against me. but I had to have the mindset of, okay, am I going to live my life in regret? Or am I going to chase after my dreams and do what I want to do? Because, yeah, it's scary. I rather wake up one morning and said, you know what, I tried this thing and it did not work, rather than wondering, can it work? Will it work? And just living in regret. So I know it's easier to say than done. And I always say, start off small, do something small, start off with small steps. And then gradually you're going to realize that your confidence is going to grow. Your perception and things are going to change, but just start off small and facing those small fears.
I start small.
Start,
Amazing.
I'll tell you, start small.
Amazing.
Because
Aside from all of that, is there any other advice that you would give to, aspiring professionals, up and coming? I always think a lot of people have started talking to me a lot about they have kids or friends or nieces and nephews who are about to graduate, or are in the earlier stages of their careers. Is there any advice that you would give people or give them about the importance of saying yes to those like new and scary um, challenges or opportunities?
say yes when you're younger. Because when you get older and have kids and get married, them yes, they kind of change. But when you are younger, say yes, explore, see what you like, see what you don't like. You have the opportunity, like the world is yours. And just by saying yes, you don't know where that opportunity may be. I said yes when I was about maybe 18, 19 to an opportunity to come here to the States. It was scary to leave my family behind, to come to a whole new country. But just by saying yes, like, look where I am today. So don't be afraid when you're younger or even starting a business or even have an idea, just to say yes. What's the worst that could happen? It didn't work. Like that's the worst, that's a possible worst that can happen. It did not work. But what's the best that can happen? It worked.
That's such a good that is such a good thing to bring up, because I do feel like a lot of times when but easier said than done. When I
Yes.
find my friends or my siblings or people around me doubting themselves, I'm like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yes.
What's the worst thing that could happen? It just doesn't work out, and now you're,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
it didn't work out. And then you're like, okay, you
now you
spend some
know.
time, energy, money into it, but it didn't work out, and then now you learn from it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. I think I have to give you kudos. Saying yes to moving to a whole new country at like 18 is, I like, my mom moved here when she was 14 from the Philippines, and that in itself is hard. Like, being a teenager is hard enough. Having to
Yes.
like uproot your life and move to a whole new country. And I'm assuming that you knew English or
Oh
some
yeah. Oh
English.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that made the transition a little easier.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that in itself is just one giant, like, we could talk about that for 30 minutes. So aside from moving here, is there one thing in your career that has kind of happened that you either said yes to and it was unexpected, or something happened down the line that wasn't expected because you said yes?
One thing that I said yes, like I said, with BLB, we are brand strategists, right? We work with boring industries. And that stemmed from another business that my husband and I started, which is OWIG, an insurance brokerage. And saying yes to starting this new business. And the reason we started is because our kids, we wanted to leave something behind for our kids. And we thought, it would just pay the bills, we would have a solid foundation. But we said yes a few years ago and it has exploded. Like our business has exploded internationally. We've met so many people. We've helped so many clients. It also gave birth to BLB Global just by that one moment of saying yes to a simple thing that we were afraid to do. Because at the time, I would not suggest anybody do this, but at the time, both my husband and I, we quit our jobs and there was no plan B. So this yes had to work, and we took a risk, and it worked. It worked.
I feel like I feel like we've done enough of these interviews where people are like, I don't recommend this, but, and I'm like, but that seems to be like, it sounds terrible when you hear a lot that people are like, we quit our jobs. I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes quitting your job sounds like a great turning.
It does. But the reason I say this, because when we tell people that we quit our job, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to quit my job. But there has to be a plan.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Like, just don't quit your job cold turkey, but there has to be a plan, and then you have to be able to put that work in.
Absolutely. So I am curious though, because your name obviously starts with a G. I don't know what your husband's name starts with. Where did the name BLB Global come from?
Oh, BLB Global backstory. And I love telling this story. So I'm glad you asked it. Thank you. BLB Global, it stemmed from my mother. My mom, as like I said, she migrated from Haiti to the Bahamas, can't speak any English, never went to school, does not know how to read, does not know how to write. But she started a small unofficial business back in the Bahamas, right? Where she would buy like different merchandise, like different pieces, or somebody was going to the state, she would give them money and go to Walmart and buy these different items. And then every Sunday she would walk around the island and she would sell these things, right? And this is a lady who does not speak English, but that's how she made her living. And I grew up seeing my mom doing that. And then she branded herself because everybody in the island knew who she was. And so when I was 14, I said, you know what, I'm going to start a business. And I don't know what business it's going to be, but I want to honor my mother. And so BLB stands for my mom. It's Bibi Lorena Brave. So that's BLB Global. She was local, and now I'm taking her global.
I love that. So it seems like your mom is a very influential person
Yes.
in your life. And I know that your husband also is like your
Yes.
number one super fan and is ready to go for anything that you throw at him.
Yes.
Aside from those two, do you have any other people in your life that have really influenced who you are and how you kind of got here?
I would have to say my oldest sister. I keep it in the family. My oldest sister, she sacrificed so much for me to be here. And so she's been a huge influence in my life. No matter whatever I want to do, I'm like, darling, I want to do that. She's like, okay, let's do it. So she's been a huge influence in my life just for the sacrifices that she's made so I can be where I am today.
Ugh. As an older sister, that really hits me right in the feels. I jokingly but seriously tell my siblings all the time, like, listen, I was raised by different parents than you two were.
Yes. Yes.
The rules I had were much different than the ones that you had. So kind of digging into BLB Global and all the work that you've done, do you have any kind of favorite stories to tell about a client or a project that you worked on?
Oh, one of my clients, right? I'll keep it short. One of my clients, because like I said, we specialize in working with industries that people think are boring. Like, if you have a marketing or whatever, I'm like, if it's exciting, I'm like, but if you come to me and you tell me I do insurance, I do manufacturing, I do taxes, I'm like, oh my goodness. So one of the clients that I worked with is a tax insurance firm. And they wanted to more branch their appearance than their services, right? And so we were able to go ahead and strategize a whole branding, not just their social media, but their just whole brand in general. And we were able to change the narrative with their industry. And so now it's like they're saying that people are calling them. I mean, they're calling for taxes, but they're calling and saying, "Hey, I saw your social media post. I love it. Where are you going to be next?" So it's more of that engagement with the client. So I love hearing that story where you're also bringing in clients, but you're building a community, outside of your services.
Absolutely. I think it's always, and maybe because I work in social media, I do find myself like, if I go to like my dentist office or like the chiropractor, whomever, I'm always like, oh, I really love that post you guys put up about insert topic here. Because I feel like that kind of stuff gets back to them and people like to hear about the good things they're doing. So I was curious, has there ever been any kind of like funny thing that's happened on a project? Like I just think of like, I'm trying to think of something that we did. Like we one time did something where I did like an entire campaign and it was for the complete wrong event. And when I sent it to them, they were like, this is not what we were talking about. I'm like, what do you mean?
I would say the most funniest thing or thing that ever happened is mostly like behind the scenes. More of like if you're shooting a video or something like that. And a lot of the clients aren't used to being in front of the camera. So you kind of have to like coach them. And it's like 1 minute they're like, oh, having a great conversation. As soon as you put that camera on, they're like, hello, my name is Bob. And I'm like, wait, what just happened here? So that's more of the funny thing. It's just how they switch.
It is crazy how you need to like almost like pull it
Yeah.
back out of them. Like without the camera, you're like, this is great. Like we'll just put this on
Yeah.
social media. And then it's not even a camera. You just pull out your phone and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, now I have to be proper. I'm like, no, I don't want you to be
Exactly.
proper.
And that's the thing too. Like when you work, a lot of businesses that we work with, they're serious businesses, right? So I'm like, yeah, your service and your product may be serious, but you don't have to be serious because you don't know who can relate to you as a person who's talking like as a real individual because people can recognize fake. And they don't, and that's what's going to
Mhm.
make you stand out versus the person who's saying, hey, come get my taxes, versus listen, this is what just happened to a client of mine. That's going to make you stand out, and that's the authenticity that people want to see. So I'm like, you don't pretend to be who you're not, be you.
Absolutely. Do you find that there are kind of other like misconceptions when it comes to like brand storytelling for like for boring businesses? Like you have to be boring because your
Yes.
business is boring. Find that there are other things that kind of fall in line
Yes.
with that.
And what gets me is a pattern that I see is that everybody, like I said, like everybody's looking at what they see out there in social media or different content and they feel like they have to copy it, right? And one thing that I always tell everybody, your product, your service, that's your product or your service. That's not your brand. You know, people are going to buy from the brand. Like, for example, with OWIG, of course, our service is insurance, but our brand is educate, right? We educate our clients and we do it through different ways. So find ways to use your brand to stand out and don't focus on the services. Like, I know you sell insurance, I know you sell taxes. Not every post or thing has to be about insurance or taxes. It doesn't have to be about your service or product, but about what does the brand stand for? What are your core values? What are your mission? And how do you relate that to your clients? And that's how you're going to get your clients to do that. And one of the things that we specialize in too is storytelling. I love when I was a kid when my sister would tell me stories, and I felt some type of emotional attachment to that story. People want to know your story, and a lot of companies are not sharing their stories. They're sharing their services or their product. But I want to know, like, why did you start? I want to know what your clients think about it. I want to know what made you think of that concept, that idea. I want to emotionally connect with your brand. And obviously that's going to cost me to buy your service and your product.
Absolutely. I think that that's such a great point. We do with all of our interviews, we do a little this and that. And since we're talking about storytelling, we kind of pulled some this or that's that are based on storytelling.
Okay.
So I want to see what you think about these different things. So the
Okay.
first one is about storytelling approaches. So do you prefer character driven or plot driven?
Plot driven.
Ooh.
I like plot driven.
Do you, for some brand awareness, do you prefer short form or long form content?
Long form so I can break up the short form.
That is where you know that someone is a professional, when they say I can get the short form from the long form.
Yep.
Obviously you specialize in boring businesses. I'm going to air quote that all this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer to use humor or kind of a more serious tone when to connect with audiences?
Humor.
And then do you prefer, this one I'm kind of on the fence of, do you prefer customer testimonials or case studies?
Customer testimonials. I like to hear what people think.
Fair, very fair.
Yeah.
And the final one, do you prefer, when you're highlighting brand values, do you prefer a behind the scenes look or more of like a hero's journey?
Behind the scenes.
Everybody wants a peek behind the curtain.
Yes. I want to know what's going on.
I tell everybody, I'm like, everybody's nosy.
Yes.
If you can let them be a little bit nosy, they'll love you forever.
Yes.
All right. The next part is rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So we're going to roll through these and you just have to answer with whatever pops into your head first.
Okay.
So the first one, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I want to fly like Superman.
Oh, that'd be amazing. You can get everywhere so much
I
faster.
know.
Would you rather celebrate a good cause or get your hands dirty for a good cause?
Get my hands dirty for a good cause.
Me too. What was your favorite subject in school?
Literature.
Ooh. What does your ideal vacation look like?
Oh my goodness. Somewhere where I don't have to cook or clean. I just lay in bed and they just bring me the food. I'm not a cruise. Let's say cruise.
Oh, that's a good one. Cruises are nice. I like waking up in different places.
Yes.
So I don't have to worry about it. Describe your style in one word.
Energetic.
Love that. And then the final one. Finish the phrase, I can't live without
My family. I know, my husband and my kids.
I'll make sure that I send them an email before Mother's Day. Be like, listen, remember,
Right?
shouted you out in our podcast. So the final part of our podcast is always Chatbot Says. So we have asked ChatGPT, or a version of an AI chatbot,
Okay.
what they think the title of your future memoir should be.
I can't wait.
We basically put your bio in and we ask it to do that, and we come up with some fun stuff. We also come up with some crazy ones. So these were kind of our top choices. The first one is One Way Up, The Inspiring Journey of Gertha Jean.
Okay.
The second one is The Insurance Queen, Gigi's Rise to Business Startup.
Royalty.
Yes. The third one is Island Roots, Global Reach, The Gertha Jean Story.
Oh, that's nice.
I know, I like
I might
that.
have to steal that one.
And the last one is No Excuses, Gigi's Journey from Possibility to Prosperity.
Oh, wow. They did good.
Right?
They're good.
Do you have a personal favorite? as of right now?
I think what was it, the local roots, global reach?
Island Roots,
Yes.
Global Reach, the
Yes.
Gertha Jean. I do like that one.
I like that
I
one.
could see that as like a coffee table book. Like one of
Yeah.
those big, heavy coffee table books with like really pretty pictures in it.
I like that one.
Perfect. I would like to thank you for joining us and sharing a little bit about yourself and your story. I would also like to thank you for being a part of our inaugural Social Media Day
It was
Delaware.
amazing.
I hope you had a
Amazing.
blast. I hope you made a ton of connections. If people would like to connect with you, where can they find you?
They can find me on all social media platform. I'm active on LinkedIn, Gertha Jean, or they can find me. They can look for BLB Global, and that's on all social media platforms.
Awesome. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
I'm sorry, and our website. Forgot the website.
Oh, yes.
www.blbglobal.net.
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jess, for having me. I had a blast.
Thank you for listening to Yes Genius, a podcast from Epic Marketing. Join us again to hear more unique stories. In the meantime, find us on social media or online at epicmc2.com. You can also connect with Delaware's digital community at socialmediadayde.com. Don't miss out. Remember to follow or subscribe wherever you get your genius content.